It is a beautiful day in the bluegrass, a little bit cloudy. It might rain a little bit, but we can use some rain. My man George is over here getting our new stand-up inflatable paddleboard out of the bed of the truck. And then we're going to get our canoe out, and we are going to practice canoeing and stand-up paddleboarding. Got some fun little dogs out here today. Let me see who all we have. We have Maxie. And over here we have two yellow labs, Yeti and Doug. And of course, there's my man No Name leading the band. So everybody's having a good time. We're gonna get this put together, and then we're going to do a little bit of paddleboarding. All right, so this is George's first attempt to get on the stand-up paddleboard. Now we're gonna see if he can stand up and paddleboard it back over to the bank. So of course he's starting on his knees, and No Name is going out to help him. Dang, look at George looking like a pro.
Easy work.
Easy work. So we're walking down this little lane, and right over here just disappeared a whole little family of deer. They were hanging out trying to be still so we wouldn't notice them, but of course No Name noticed them, and he thought they might need fetching, so we went over there and investigated. But they took off running, and he decided they were a little too big to retrieve, so he came back over here so we could get back in the pond, because that's what he really likes doing more than anything else in the world. And we're kind of walking around here trying to catch up with Georgie and Maxie, and they're having a big time. Big Doug has found him an adventure spot over here on top of the culvert, and Maxie has pretty much mastered riding the paddleboard. So what we have to do is we have to figure out how to get Fickle Dog here, Yeti, to get on the paddleboard and stay. So I think Georgie would just put a leash on her, because what happens is she keeps going out there and kind of teasing George like she wants to get on the paddleboard, and she even gets on there sometimes, but then she jumps off. The Doug, he says, I'm going to find the deer. Stand up and paddle, but maybe stand on her leash. Probably won't need much tension, just enough to kind of make her realize she's supposed to stay with you. And then take off paddling and stay fairly close to the bank for when she jumps off. Hopefully Maxie, being up there and modeling that good behavior, will have a calming effect on Yeti. If not, we'll just put in some more swimming time and fatigue her a little bit. And they always stay better when they're a little bit tired. George, you have her sitting pretty nicely now, so bring her on over here to this corner, and we'll try to add Doug to the mix and see if we can't get them all sitting up there nice and pretty. George has made tremendous progress. He has all three of his dogs being calm, attentive, and polite on the paddleboard. Doug has decided to lay down, and the other two dogs are sitting right beside him. So I'm gonna have George come on into the bank side, because this is where we always have problems. And you can see just as soon as George started towards the bank, Doug got up like he was gonna get off. Okay, guys, when you're practicing, you really have to spend a whole lot of time just kind of maneuvering over by the bank and acting like you're not paying attention. Because what happens is the dogs, they just get bored riding on the paddleboard or in the canoe or on the kayak, and they see things on the bank, and if you're not paying attention, they'll just kind of get up and you know, go investigate on their own. I mean, you know, if you're on vacation, they're on vacation. I'm sure that's what they're thinking. So George is just going to cruise over there and just get some experience for Doug. You know, dog training's all the same, guys. It's always about just putting in the work and getting a few extra reps and making the dogs understand that context you know, has a lot to do with how they should behave. And that's one of the things people don't understand. So they'll be in their kitchen or their backyard or even practicing on the kayak, but maybe they'll be out in the middle of the pond or something, and there's not as much going on in the middle of the pond as over here by the bank. So when they come up by the bank, the dog's like, hey, look, it's a little different context. Maybe what's expected of me is a little bit different. And so I'll jump off and see what that groundhog's doing, or see what the other dogs are doing, or the other campers, or whatever it is. Come on over here a little bit closer, George, so I can see Doug. Come over here. Now this is a, you know, like, look at this. The context is changing because Doug's not only getting close to the bank, but he's also getting close to me, and I'm pointing this camera at him. Hey Doug, look up, dude. And he's eating, eating some seaweed, pondweed, I guess that is. Turn him around here, Georgie. What's so interesting, Doug? And you guys, you just don't ever know what they find interesting. And the only way to make sure that they're going to be reliable is to get out and put the work in. Now we're going to move on to a little bit of retrieval work. I have my man Maxie, and Maxie's pretty good in the water, you know, but where he's young, he still does a thing called puppy swimming where he forgets to drive with his rear end, and so he kind of beats the water with his paws, you know, and we're going to try to line that out a little bit today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my retrieving item out in the pond a ways and let him swim out there, and what I anticipate is on his way out, he's going to puppy swim a little bit, he's going to beat the water, but once he picks up the retrieving item, then he'll have to drive with his rear end, and he should plane out and come right back to me. So we'll do, we'll kind of mix it up. We'll do a kind of a long retrieve in the water, and then I'll throw a retrieving item over here in the pond weeds, and to kind of make him go look for it, you know, and he should have a pretty good idea how to do it because we've already been doing it with no name this morning. All right, so ready, Maxie? Fetch it up. Now you might wonder why I'm standing out here in the water with Maxie. Well, I'll show you when he comes back. Now look, see, this is what we needed right here. See how his back is staying nice and flat in the water and his paws are under the water and he's being able to like locomote well, right? Now see, as he came up, he delivered that right to my hand. Back up just a little bit, George, and show them what we run into. With these young dogs, like they'll get out there and they'll be swimming and they'll get the retrieving item, they'll be coming back, and then as soon as they get up here where they can really stand up, they start thinking about shaking, right? And they end up dropping their retrieving item. They'll drop their retrieving item, they'll shake, then they pick their retrieving item up and hand it to you. And you can fix that, you know, over time, but it's a lot easier just to never let it get started. So this is kind of a little pro tip for you. If you don't mind getting wet, just get out in the pond with them, and it's going to really save you a lot of work later. So what I do is I come out in the pond to what we call the neutral buoyancy point. That's when they first start like floating, you know. I'm going to throw my retrieving item. Maxie's going to bound out there to get it. You can see just a little bit of puppy swimming right there. But now watch, he's got it. Now once he's got a little bit of weight in his front end, the front end settles down, he has to start driving with his rear end. Oh, good boy, Maxie. And then I'm going to meet him right here where his feet first start to touch the bottom of the pond, and I'm going to get a perfect delivery to hand. And then just each retrieving session, I'll just back up a little bit, right? So like, see right there, I was back there. See right, this is what we call he's just past the neutral buoyancy part. So I'm going to back up to right here. Fetch it up. Now, ideally, this would be our next session. I'd back up, and then the session after that, I'd back up, and the session after that, I'd back up, and you know, before you know it, you're on the pond, and he's delivering to hand out of habit, and you don't have to, you know, fuss or make a big deal out of anything. Oh my gosh, very good boy, Maxie. Now, remember what I'm always telling you is don't push your luck in dog training. You know, always try to end on a high note. Now, Maxie, he's really adept at delivering to hand in, you know, the kennel environment, you know, and in our pre-adventure area. So I think I can probably get him to do it so I can kind of show you how this progression works. Now, if I mess this up, I'll edit it out. Okay, Maxie, fetch one more time. So see what I'm doing here is I've kind of come back. I just keep steadily moving back towards the bank. Good boy, Maxie. Maxie's a very good dog. Just kind of giving him some encouragement. Now you can see he's kind of grabbing the retrieving item over on the side. I'm not super happy about that, but we'll work on that back at the kennel. So look, I'm going to back up a little bit more, give him a fetch there, but I'm not going to throw it as far. Now back up, Georgie. I'm going to go ahead because Maxie looks like he's getting tired. I'm going to go ahead and come all the way to the bank, but I'm going to bend down. Oh my gosh, Maxie. Now he's got a much better grip on this one. Oh my gosh, very good. Kind of stay sideways to him. And there we go, delivered perfectly to hand. Okay, so don't try to get that many repetitions in your training session necessarily. Maxie's just, he's a British bred dog, and so they kind of naturally are very good at delivering to hand. And we've put a lot of work in with the inductive retrieve at my kennel. But like over the course of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month or two, who cares? Like, just relax and enjoy the process. You know, people get a little bit too fixated on the goal, right? But just think about this. Whenever I have Maxie delivering to hand perfectly, I don't have a reason to stand in the pond anymore. And standing in the pond is the highlight of my day. Okay, I almost forgot that we were going to throw the retrieving item into the weeds and have Maxie go look for it a little bit, have to hunt it up. So I'm going to show him the retrieving item, and I'm going to chuck it up here into the weeds a little bit. Now he can't see it, so he just has to go to where he saw it fall, and he'll have to hunt around a little bit for it, and then he'll find it, hopefully. Maybe. Oh, good boy, Maxie, you found it. You're such a good dog. Now come on back. Now, again, you know, like I was talking about being patient with your session work, you know, like it's fun for the dogs to swim out into the pond and like if there's no obstructions, but working their way, you know, through weeds and brush and stuff, sometimes a young puppy can get, they can get overwhelmed a little bit, or they can feel like they're gonna fail, and then you get frustrated and fuss at them, and it just makes it worse, right? So you have to make sure you understand your puppy's natural desire for the activity and his ability to handle environmental stress. Right? In other words, don't make the session any harder than the puppy can handle. What we say is we're always looking to challenge puppies, but we're not looking to challenge them so much that we induce failure. Okay, Georgie, back up. I'm going to throw it back off into these weeds a little bit. You ready? Good boy. And Maxie's a good, steady little worker. If you go back a year or two ago and watch, say, my no-name videos, Maxie, come on. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't charge into every situation 100 miles an hour like No Name used to or Henry used to, but he's a good steady worker. He doesn't ever let you down. I'm gonna throw it over here now, Georgie. Good. And you know what I do, I think, is I'll come over here. Oh, good boy, Maxie. And I'll get one throw right over here into these cattails. Can you see that, Georgie? All right, so we're going to toss it right over into those cattails and let Maxie go over there and hunt that up and see what he can do. Oh, very nice dog, Maxie. So he's got it, but as he's trying to come out, the dummy hits the cattails. And that, you know, again, that could induce the dog to fail, to drop it. So, you know, read your dog and see, like, you know, see how the dog is handling the adversity that you're putting in front of him. You know, like I said, you want to challenge them every session, but keep those challenges at a level where the dog can still be successful. We do not want to induce failure. Now we're going to do a little retrieving with Yeti. And Yeti's a fun little dog. She's generally a pretty hard charging retriever. Not much on the precision though, and she does get distracted easily. So where Maxie's not naturally quite as confident as Yeti, he's a much more consistent and persistent worker. Okay, so with Yeti, what we have to do is we have to kind of keep her repetitions like pretty low. So we'll usually do 2 reps. We'll just do a lot more sessions, okay? Because she's a very strong dog, very strong swimmer. You can see her getting out there quickly, and she gets a good grip on the retrieving item usually, and she brings it right back. But usually, you know, if we go into that 3 to 5 range, we start to see a little bit of failure as it relates to delivering to hand. So you got to treat them all as individuals, guys. And Yeti is a finicky individual. Big Doug is ready for his turn, and No Name is still pouting because he's stuck. Doug, are you ready to do a little retrieving? All right, now, as Georgie can tell you, Doug, again, like we said in the other videos, you know, Doug thinks it's Doug time all the time, right? So he likes to party, but he ain't much on working. So we don't know how his retrieving session is going to go this time, but if the last few times that we've brought him are any indication, it's going to be about like that. Which tells us that we have to go back and get a little bit more yard work in at the kennel. That's why we have mentor dogs though, because No Name loves it when they mess up.